Let me just start by saying, I never thought I'd be one of those guys posting here. I used to read stories on this subreddit and shake my head thinking, man, how do people miss the signs? But here I am, 36 years old, sitting alone in the spare room of the house I worked my ass off to buy, writing out the story of how I got played like a damn fool. I've been married to Lauren, not her real name, for 6 years. We met through mutual friends, clicked instantly, and for a while things were actually great. She's always been fiery, passionate, opinionated, confident to the point of arrogance, but I like that about her. She made me laugh, challenged me, and when we were good, we were really good. We both had decent jobs, no kids, and enough money to live comfortably. From the outside, we were the perfect couple. But that fire, it started to burn in ways I didn't expect. About a year ago, Lauren started taking yoga more seriously. She said it helped with her stress, kept her body centered and tight, her words. I was all for it. I even paid for her private sessions with this local guy, Zane, a yoga instructor who ran his own studio a few blocks from our place. He was younger than us, maybe late 20s, with the whole man bun, spiritual vibes, vegan protein shakes kind of thing going on. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Hell, I thought I was being a supportive husband. The sessions were twice a week, then three, then eventually almost every damn day. I didn't think much of it at first because Lauren had always been obsessive when she got into something new. But then came the late night sessions, the workouts that left her too tired to even cuddle, the phone's dead excuses, and the subtle way she started treating me differently, cold, dismissive, almost like I was a burden. I chalked it up to stress, work, hormones, anything but the worst case scenario. I trusted her. God, I was such an idiot. So here's how I found out. It wasn't some big dramatic reveal. No lipstick on a collar, no anonymous tip. It was subtle, and honestly, that made it hit even harder. One night, I was in bed alone again. Lauren said she had a late restorative flow session with Zane and would grab dinner with some girls from the studio after. I didn't question it, but around 10:30 p.m. I realized she still wasn't home. I texted her, "Hey, you good? Getting late." No reply. I waited, called, straight to voicemail. Weird, but not entirely unusual. Her phone battery always seemed to die. Looking back now, classic excuse. Then something just clicked. That gut feeling, you know the one. I opened our shared iPad, which she hadn't used in months. It was synced to her Apple account, but she didn't realize iMessages were still coming through. There they were, the messages. Dozens of texts from Zane. Flirty, graphic, disgusting. Things like, still thinking about last night, that position we ended in? Don't wear anything under those leggings tomorrow. You know I love that. You moan so loud, babe. You want your husband to hear next time? I sat there in stunned silence. My face went cold, my hands shook. It was like my heart dropped into my stomach and my whole body just stopped. I didn't want to believe it. For a second, I thought it had to be someone else's account, a prank, anything but the truth. But there were selfies of her from our bedroom, our bathroom, some of her in yoga poses with way too much skin showing, captioned with lines like, just for you. She'd been cheating on me, not once, not a, not a fling, a fling. This had been going on for months, and I had been funding it. I paid for every session. I even thanked Zane when I met him once, telling him how much Lauren loved his classes. She was sleeping with him, in my house, on my sheets. I couldn't breathe. I didn't sleep that night. And when she walked in the next morning, like nothing was wrong, smiling, holding a smoothie, calling me babe, I knew I had to confront her. But I needed to do it smart. The next morning, I didn't say a word. I just watched her. She waltzed in around 7 a.m., still in her tight yoga pants, hair in a messy bun, holding a green smoothie like she'd just saved the planet. She kissed me on the cheek and chirped, "Morning, babe." I almost threw up. I wanted to scream right then and there, but something inside me, maybe it was adrenaline, maybe pure spite, told me to wait, to stay calm, get more information, maybe even trap her in a lie. So I played dumb, asked how the session went. She lit up. It was so intense. Zane really pushed us tonight. My core is dying. Then she added, "We did a bit of meditation at the end. That's why I'm late." I nodded slowly. "That's weird," I said. "Didn't know meditation included sending your instructor nudes from our bedroom." Boom. Silence. She froze. Just stared at me, blinking like I'd just spoken in another language. Then came the denial. "What the fuck are you talking about? Are you spying on me now? Jesus, this is insane. No, I said, and I showed her the iPad, her messages, the photos, the emojis, all of it. She snatched the iPad like she could erase what was already burned into my brain. Her face turned pale, then bright red. This isn't what it looks like, she snapped. Really? Because it looks like you've been fucking your yoga instructor and lying to my face for months. She exploded. Oh my God, you're such a controlling hole. Maybe if you paid attention to me once in a while, I wouldn't need someone else. You're always tired, always working. Zane makes me feel alive. I laughed, not because it was funny, because it was pathetic. You mean I paid for your cheating, I said. I paid that guy to screw my wife. She started crying. Not the sad, remorseful kind, the dramatic, mascara running, hands flailing, screaming at the ceiling kind. You don't understand what it's like to be with someone like you. You suffocate me. Zane listens to me. He actually sees me. You're just boring. It wasn't just a defense. She was blaming me. I stood there looking at this woman I thought I knew, this woman I once adored, and realized something. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't heartbroken. She was mad she got caught. I didn't say anything else. I walked out of the room, took my keys, got in my car, drove around for hours. I knew the marriage was over, but the emotional spiral hadn't even started yet. I wish I could say I felt strong after confronting her, like one of those movie moments where the betrayed husband walks away, head held high, stoic and unshaken. But that's not how it went. When I got in the car and drove away, I broke down, full on, chest heaving, hands shaking, ugly crying breakdown. I pulled over at some gas station off the freeway and just sat there watching the steering wheel blur through my tears. I felt humiliated, used. I kept replaying everything, her smiles, her little late sessions, the compliments she'd throw at me right before running off to screw another man. She had lied so easily, so naturally. She had let me love her, sleep next to her, plan vacations with her, all while texting him things like, "Wish you were here to stretch me out." God, it made me sick. For days, I went through all 5 stages of grief, except all at once and on repeat. Denial. Maybe it wasn't physical for that long. Anger. How the hell could she do this to me? Bargaining. What if I had worked less, been more attentive? What if I let the yoga thing slide more easily? Depression. Was I ever enough for her? Acceptance. Well, I wasn't there yet. I avoided the house for a few days, stayed with my brother. Lauren kept texting me at first, things like, "We need to talk," and "You're making this bigger than it needs to be," as if I was the problem. Then the tone changed. "Can't believe you just throw everything away over one mistake." One mistake? She called months of betrayal a mistake. Then she started love bombing. "I miss you. We can work through this. You're my soulmate." I ignored it all. But that didn't stop the flood of memories. Every room in that house had a ghost now of who I thought she was. Every laugh we shared, every "I love you" suddenly felt like part of an act. I started questioning everything. Was any of it real? Had she always been this cold underneath the surface? Or did something in her break along the way? Worse, was I the reason she broke? It was a dark, spirally headspace to be in. And yet, through it all, some part of me was still hoping she'd say something, anything, that made me believe this nightmare was fixable. Spoiler alert, she didn't. A few days after I found the messages, I went back home to grab a few things. She was there, sitting on the couch in one of my hoodies, watching Netflix like nothing happened. She actually smiled at me when I walked in, like this was just a normal Thursday. "Hey," she said casually, like she hadn't detonated our marriage. "Do you want to talk?" I didn't answer. I just walked past her to the bedroom. I had a bag already packed in my head. I just needed to make it real. She followed me, of course. That annoying high-pitched voice she used when she didn't get her way turned on instantly. "So that's it? You're just going to give up on us over a mistake?" I didn't even look at her. I grabbed a drawer and dumped it into my bag. "That's what you're calling it?" I asked. "A mistake?" Her arms crossed. "You don't get it. Zane understood me. You've been so distant lately. I needed someone." There it was again, the blame shifting, the victim act. I swear she could win an Oscar with that performance. I said quietly, "You chose to cheat. You didn't slip and fall onto his deck." That triggered her. "Oh, so now I'm a whore?" she screamed. You don't know what it's like to be married to a man who's emotionally unavailable. I felt alone. And maybe if you weren't so boring, I cut her off. We're done, Lauren. Boom. Silence. I didn't say it loud. I didn't shout, but the weight behind it hit her. She finally realized I wasn't playing. I'm filing for divorce, I said. I already contacted a lawyer. Now the hysteria really kicked in. You're being dramatic. What about our house, our friends, our life? She shrieked. You're just going to throw it all away? No, I said. You did. She started crying again, not the real kind. The kind where she kept glancing to see if I was watching, like she was auditioning for sympathy. I didn't give her any. I took the bag, walked past her, and left. For good. That night, I crashed at my brother's again. We cracked open a bottle of whiskey I'd been saving for our anniversary. Guess I didn't need it for that anymore. I toasted to the end of my marriage and the beginning of something better. It's strange how fast your life can split in two, before you knew and after you knew. The days after I told Lauren I was filing for divorce were some of the quietest of my life. Not peaceful, just hollow, like someone turned the volume down on the world. I stayed with my brother, sleeping on his pull-out couch. He didn't ask many questions, just handed me beers and kept the TV running loud. Sometimes that was the only thing that kept my thoughts from eating me alive. In the silence, I started unpacking everything. Not just the betrayal, but the patterns. Looking back, there had been signs. The constant yoga selfies, the way she'd start fights right before going out so she could leave angry and stay gone longer. The sudden confidence boost that didn't come from me. How she'd get defensive when I asked harmless questions. I ignored it all because I trusted her. And that's the part that hurt the most. Not the sex, not the lying, but the absolute betrayal of trust. She could have told me she was unhappy. She could have asked for therapy or space or even a break. But instead, she chose the coward's route, backbending her way into bed with her glorified gym rat of an instructor. Worse, she tried to make me feel like it was my fault. That's when something in me snapped, not in rage, but in clarity. I realized I didn't miss her. I missed who I thought she was, the version of her I had built up in my head. The woman I married, supportive, kind, funny, had turned into someone unrecognizable, narcissistic, manipulative, cruel. So I stopped hoping for a text that made sense of it all. I stopped checking her socials. I stopped replaying old memories like they still belonged to me. I started running, like actually jogging. Trust me, if you'd seen me a month ago, you'd know how ridiculous that sounds. I signed up for therapy. I deleted our shared playlists, got my own Spotify account. Baby steps. But for the first time in months, maybe years, I was rebuilding something, not my marriage, myself. About 3 weeks after I officially filed for divorce, I got an unexpected text. Not from Lauren, from Zane. Yes, that Zane. Mr. Namaste my pants off himself. Hey man, can we talk? At first, I thought it was a joke. I even showed it to my brother, who immediately said, Bro, if he wants to fight, I'll drive. But it wasn't about fighting. He followed up with a wall of text that made my jaw drop. Apparently, things between him and Lauren went nuclear after I walked out. He told me she had started practically living at his apartment, pushed him to go public on social media, demanded he delete any women from his past off Instagram, and she became a complete psycho, his words, not mine, the moment he didn't respond within 5 minutes. Here's the kicker. She told him I was emotionally abusive, cold, and manipulative, that she had been trapped in our marriage, and he was her light in the darkness. Sound familiar? He admitted, and I'll give him this, that he believed her at first, said she cried a lot, played the victim, made it sound like I was some monster she escaped from. But when she moved in with him temporarily, her words, just until the divorce is finalized, the mask slipped. According to Zane, she screamed when he didn't like one of her TikToks, broke a glass because he wouldn't post a couple yoga selfie, got insanely jealous when he trained with a 50-year-old client. The final straw, she went through his phone while he was sleeping and accused him of cheating because he had the Spotify profile of an old friend still on his app. I don't know who she is anymore, he wrote. I laughed out loud reading that. Oh, buddy, you're just meeting the real Lauren. Then get this. Zane apologized, said he never meant for any of this to happen, that he was manipulated too. Did I forgive him? No. Do I think he deserved what he got? Abso-freaking-lutely. Karma didn't even stretch, it just drop kicked both of them. I didn't respond to his last message. I figured life was already teaching him the lesson I couldn't. And you know what? For the first time in months, I slept like a baby. If you thought Lauren was done being dramatic, buckle up, because divorced Lauren made cheating Lauren look like a Disney princess. The moment she got served the papers, she went full scorched earth. First, she told our mutual friends that I was mentally unstable and abandoned her out of nowhere. She cried to one of our couple friends that she was blindsided and that I was having a midlife crisis. I'm 34. Then she tried to play the legal game dirty. Her first move, she demanded spousal support. Yes, really. This is a woman who cheated, lied, moved in with the guy she cheated with, and now wanted me to pay for her lifestyle. Luckily, my lawyer is a shark. Let's call her Dana. Dana's first response when I told her about Lauren's demands, she actually laughed and said, "Oh, we're going to have fun with this." We collected everything: texts, call logs, screenshots of her with Zane, time-stamped social posts, even the messages Zane had sent me. It painted a crystal clear picture. She wasn't a victim. She was a manipulative liar trying to squeeze money out of a man she betrayed. Dana submitted our response with a counterclaim: no spousal support. She moves out of the condo, which I owned before marriage, and I keep everything that was mine. Lauren lost it. She started blowing up my phone, first begging, then threatening, then gaslighting. Her greatest hit included, "I gave you the best years of my life, and now you want to leave me with nothing?" I didn't respond. She then switched tactics. She tried to play the "we can still work it out" card, started sending old photos. Remember this? Messages. Heart emojis. One day she even showed up at my brother's house in tears saying, "I just want to talk." I didn't open the door. Neither did my brother. We just turned up the volume on the TV and kept eating wings. After a few weeks, reality must have finally hit her. Her fun fling had turned into a full-time drama fest, and her fallback husband was no longer an option. Her last email to my lawyer said, "I'm willing to compromise." Translation: she lost. The divorce was finalized on a rainy Thursday. I didn't cry. I didn't feel victorious. I just exhaled, like I'd been holding my breath for months and finally let go. Lauren got nothing she was aiming for. She left with her clothes, some kitchen stuff, and a car she still hadn't paid off. I kept the condo, the savings, and most importantly, my peace of mind. I changed the locks, repainted the walls, deleted the old shared calendar we had on my phone, even bought new towels and a couch. Symbolic? Maybe, but it felt like reclaiming my space. The silence in the house wasn't scary anymore. It was mine. No more waiting for her to come home late, no more fake yoga classes, no more gut feelings I had to swallow to keep the peace. I started reconnecting with friends I had lost touch with. You know, the ones she said were too immature or bad influences. Translation: people who could see through her crap. One of them, Dan, invited me out for drinks with a small group. It felt weird at first, like I was borrowing someone else's life. But after a few beers and some real talk, I realized this is what life's supposed to feel like. That weekend, I went hiking, alone, something Lauren always hated. I stood on a ridge overlooking a lake, wind in my face, and just let myself feel it all. The betrayal, the anger, the grief, but also freedom. Not the revenge kind of freedom, not the I won kind, just the kind where you realize you no longer have to tiptoe around someone's chaos. You get to breathe again and be again. Funny twist? A few days later, Zane posted a shirtless photo with some cryptic caption like, "New beginnings. Not everyone can handle your light." I almost choked on my coffee laughing. Guess Lauren moved on again. Can't say I was surprised. She was never looking for a partner, just a mirror that made her feel good. And I'm no longer that mirror. Just when I thought the whole Lauren chapter was officially closed, I got a message on Instagram from her sister. Let's call her Emma. We'd never been particularly close, but we got along. Emma always seemed more grounded. Not like Lauren. She lived in a different city and visited maybe once or twice a year. Back when Lauren and I were still married, Emma was the only one in her family I actually liked. Anyway, here's what she wrote. "Hey, I just wanted to say I'm really sorry about everything you've gone through. I didn't know how bad things were between you two. I should have reached out sooner." At first, I was skeptical. But she wasn't fishing for details or trying to guilt trip me. Quite the opposite. She told me Lauren had been lying to their family too. Apparently, Lauren spun this entire story about how I had abandoned her emotionally and destroyed her confidence, and that she only went to Zane for healing energy and support. Barf. Emma said their parents were initially sympathetic, but the truth started leaking out through mutual friends and Zane's own ex, who messaged Emma out of the blue. Yeah, apparently he'd been double timing a bit before Lauren moved in. Shocking, I know. Emma was furious at Lauren. She didn't say it outright, but from the tone I could tell, she was ashamed of her sister. And here's where it got really weird. She asked if we could talk on the phone sometime. Not for drama. She said she just wanted closure and felt like she owed me the truth about a few things, so I called her. That conversation, it was wild. Emma told me that Lauren had always been like this. Even in high school, a chronic liar, obsessed with attention, addicted to romantic drama. Her ex-boyfriends all had similar stories: manipulation, infidelity, chaos. Apparently, their mom always covered for Lauren and made excuses, while Emma played the invisible daughter to keep the peace. She even said this, and I'll never forget it: "You didn't destroy her, you just stopped enabling her." Emma thanked me for loving Lauren as long and as fully as I did. She said she hoped I'd find someone who actually deserved that. I won't lie, I got choked up a little. It felt like someone had finally seen me. And it wasn't Lauren, it was her sister. We hung up after about an hour, and I sat there for a while just thinking about how much I let Lauren warp my reality, and how I almost believed it was my fault. But it never was. It was around midnight on a Tuesday. I just finished a late gym session, came home, showered, and was halfway through reheating some leftover Thai when I saw it. A message from Lauren. "I miss you. I made a mistake." After weeks of silence, after dragging my name through the mud, after the lies, the gaslighting, the courtroom drama, I didn't respond. I just stared at it. 10 minutes later, another ping. I was confused. Zane isn't who I thought he was. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me. Then, can we at least talk? Then, you said you'd always love me. She was spiraling, and it wasn't over. That night, she sent 15 texts, ranged from sad and regretful to bitter and accusatory. I messed up everything. I know that. You gave up on us too easily. I never wanted this. I was just lost. Zane doesn't even know what commitment means. You used to fight for me. Why won't you now? And the final cherry on the guilt sundae. Do you even care if I'm alive? That last one stopped me for a second, because part of me, the old me, did care. That part of me that remembered her laugh, our first road trip, the mornings we made pancakes in pajamas. But the man I was now, he saw the whole picture. And he wasn't falling for the act again. This wasn't about me. It was about her realizing she'd burned all her bridges, and the safe, stable guy she used to mock wasn't there to catch her anymore. I didn't reply. The next morning, I blocked her number. Emma texted me a few days later and said Lauren had gone on a digital detox, which I'm pretty sure is code for meltdown. She tried calling her ex before me, too. Apparently, he ghosted her immediately. Classic Lauren, always looking for a landing pad, never standing on her own feet. And for once, I wasn't it. After blocking Lauren, there was a strange kind of silence in my life. Not the lonely kind, the peaceful kind. No more drama, no more second guessing myself, just quiet. And in that quiet, I started putting myself back together. It wasn't dramatic. I didn't go on some revenge body mission or hook up with half the city to reclaim my manhood. That's not me. I just started doing small things that reminded me I was alive, that I mattered, that I wasn't some placeholder in someone else's chaotic soap opera. Um, I got back into reading, stuff I used to love before Lauren complained it was antisocial. I started cooking for myself again, experimenting with flavors instead of just making whatever she liked. I cleaned out our old junk closet, found my camera, and started taking photos on hikes. No Instagram flex, no followers to impress, just me, trees, and stillness. I began going to therapy too. That might be the single best decision I've ever made. Turns out living with a narcissist for years does things to your sense of self. I spent so long walking on eggshells that I didn't even realize I was afraid of my own reactions. One day in therapy, my counselor said something I'll never forget. You weren't just cheated on, you were erased, and now you're writing yourself back in. That hit hard. Because it was true. Lauren didn't just cheat on me physically, she cheated me out of feeling seen, out of feeling safe in my own relationship. And I let it happen slowly, one rationalization at a time. But now I'm not who I was when this started. I'm calmer, clearer, stronger, and somehow still hopeful. Not hopeful about Lauren. God, no. That book is closed, burned, and buried. Hopeful about me, about what comes next. It had been over 2 months since I blocked Lauren. No messages, no updates, no sightings. Honestly, I thought I'd never see her again. And I was completely fine with that. But of course, life has a twisted sense of humor. I was at the grocery store, like Saturday morning, just finished loading up my cart with the usual eggs, protein bars, coffee, a frozen pizza I told myself was just in case. I turned into the baking aisle and there she was, Lauren. She was holding a box of cake mix, looking like she hadn't slept in days, hair messy, no makeup, oversized hoodie that clearly wasn't hers. We locked eyes. For a second, neither of us said anything. Then she gave me this weak, almost pitiful smile and said, "Hey." I nodded, said hi, and kept walking. That was it. I wasn't going to make a scene. I wasn't even angry. I just didn't care anymore. But of course, she followed me. "Can we talk?" she asked, trailing behind my cart. I stopped, slowly turned to face her. I said, "Or at least you did. A lot." She looked hurt. The kind of hurt you fake when you're mad someone won't fall back into your trap. Then came the classic line, "I've changed." I laughed. Not to be mean, just one of those reflexive, disbelieving laughs that escapes your mouth before you can stop it. "You haven't changed," I said. "You just ran out of people who believe you." She got defensive fast. Arms crossed, voice rising. "I made a mistake, okay? Zane was a loser. He used me, and I was going through a hard time, and you—" "Nope," I interrupted. "Don't spin this. Not again." I left my cart right there and walked out of the store. Felt like a freaking movie moment, except no dramatic music, no slow motion. Just me walking away, heart steady, head clear. I never looked back. I'll be honest. I thought finalizing the divorce would be the easiest part. The hard stuff was already done. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the emotional chaos. I thought we'd just sign papers, split what little we had, and move on. But no, Lauren wasn't done playing games. At first, it was her being late to everything: mediation, document signing, even phone calls with her own lawyer. She kept losing things, forgetting court dates, trying to delay the inevitable. Then came the twist. She tried to go after alimony. Yep, you read that right. The woman who cheated on me in our own home, who moved in with her yoga instructor, and who hadn't contributed to our household income in over a year, wanted me to pay her. Her lawyer tried painting this picture of her as a dependent spouse who had sacrificed her career for the marriage. She even lied and said she'd been in therapy for trauma caused by emotional neglect, her way of trying to flip the script and make me the villain. Luckily, I had receipts. I'd kept every message, every screenshot. I had the doorbell cam footage, the voice memo from that awful confrontation, even a signed statement from the neighbor who'd seen Zane's car parked outside every day while I was at work. My lawyer was a shark, and she tore Lauren's case apart like tissue paper. The judge, stone-faced but fair. In the end, Lauren got nothing. No alimony, no emotional damages, nothing but a stack of paperwork and an ex-husband who'd finally found his spine. As we left the courtroom, she tried to talk to me again. One last desperate attempt. Something about being lost, about needing help, about how we used to be everything. I didn't say a word, just walked past her like a stranger. And that honestly felt better than any revenge could. This is it, the last part. And I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad it happened. Not because it didn't hurt. God, it destroyed me for a while. But because the man I am today wouldn't exist without it. Before Lauren cheated, I was asleep. I tolerated red flags. I ignored my own needs. I confused comfort with happiness. I stayed in a relationship where I was shrinking, constantly trying to be less difficult, less emotional, less demanding. I thought that was love. It wasn't. It was survival. And now I've woken up. I learned that loyalty to the wrong person is a slow form of self-betrayal. That love without respect is just manipulation in disguise. That silence doesn't mean peace. And drama doesn't mean passion. I've built a life for myself that isn't about her. It's about me. I've started traveling more. I'm dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I'm meeting kind, interesting people. People who listen, who laugh, who don't throw tantrums when they're not the center of attention. Most of all, I've learned how to spot the difference between someone who loves you and someone who just loves being loved. So, to the people going through it right now, if your gut is screaming, listen to it. If you're walking on eggshells, that's not normal. And if you've been betrayed, you're not broken, you're becoming. Thanks for reading this mess of a journey. It sucked, but it gave me back me. And honestly, that's the best ending I could have hoped for.